All right, so continuing on, I am going to do 2 or 3 more examples today and assign a few more problems. So just a review that our steps are at the top. So I'm going to kind of move my paper and screen around if I can. So step 1 is simplifying both sides of the equation. Step 2, we're not going to worry about till next week. Step 3, we're undoing the last operation that was done. Usually it's addition or subtraction. And then step 4, we are solving the one-step equation. And so we did these 3 examples yesterday. I'm going to continue on today. So very first, we are going to simplify the equation. Okay, so I see a few things here that I can simplify, some like terms. So I have a 6x minus 4x, and I can put those two together to make 2x. I also see that I have some other like terms. I have a plus 2 minus 18 that I can simplify together to make minus 16 equals 23. And so now this becomes a 2-step equation, which we've been solving for several days now. So we undo the last operation, which is subtract 16. I'm going to go ahead and draw my line down the middle of my equation. So I undo minus 16 by adding 16 to both sides. Now I have 2x that is gone, and 23 plus 16 is 39. So I now solve the one-step equation. 2 times x, I undo that multiplication by dividing both sides by 2. And I have x equals 19.5. We went through this yesterday, but if you want to check your answers, you go ahead, and probably the easiest way is if you have a calculator, or you can use the calculator app on your phone to plug that 19.5 in for both x's, simplify this side, and make sure you get a 23. All right, so let's hop down to this example. And so we have some subtraction going on, a parentheses going on. It's a really, really common mistake that students want to take 8 minus 3 and subtract that right off the bat and make it a 5. But the order of operations says we don't do subtraction first, we do multiplication. And so this parentheses here really means multiplication of the 3 times the x minus 4. So here's how I would like you to handle this. I would first of all like you to change this to plus a negative 3, because 8 minus 3 is the same as 8 plus a negative 3. What that's going to help us do is remember when we're distributing that negative 3 that it's a negative. And so we'll hopefully not forget to drop some of those signs out. All right, so I'm not going to add on the 8 yet. I'm going to just go ahead and simplify 8 plus. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this parentheses now. So I'm going to have a negative 3 times x. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. Plus negative 3 times negative 4. Some of you just know negative times negative is positive and you don't need to write that out. I'm just writing this out so you can see really what's going on here. Equals 4. So 8 plus a negative 3x, or minus 3x. A negative times negative is positive 12. All right, so I am not quite simplified yet because you notice I have some like terms. I have 8 plus 12 on this side. So I could write that as 20 plus a negative 3x, or 20 minus 3x, or negative 3x plus 20 equals 4. But I want to simplify that before I start trying to solve. So all of that work was just simplifying the equation. Now I'm going to go ahead and solve and undo the last operation, which was plus 20. I'm going to go ahead and draw my line here. I am going to subtract 20 from both sides. I'm going to continue up here. What I have now is negative 3x. 20 minus 20 is 0, so that's gone, equals 4 minus 20 is a negative 16. And last, I am going to undo negative 3 times x by dividing both sides by negative 3. So of course, a negative divided by negative is positive, so you can leave this as 16 over 3, or you can leave it as a mixed fraction, which is 5 1/3. If you use a calculator, that is okay, but just make sure that it's not 5.3, but 5.3 repeating, so that repeating bar would have to be there. And all of those answers are acceptable. Okay, so final example. Again, we have something with some distributive property going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute this negative 5 to the r, and this is, remember, the same as plus a negative 4 over here. So keeping in mind that that's really a negative number. So I get rid of the parentheses, negative 5 times r plus negative 5 times negative 4. And then I have this minus r over here. I'm going to go ahead and put a 1 in front of that to remind me of that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and simplify all in one step. Some of you hopefully can see that. Putting together this negative 5r and minus 1r, be careful of the signs there. Negative 5r minus 1r is a negative 6r. And then negative 5 times negative 4 is plus 20. So now I'm to the solving equations part. I undo this addition of 20 by subtracting 20. 44 minus 20 is what? 24 equals negative 6 times r. I divide both sides by negative 6. And I get r equals a negative 4. All right, so I have some more questions for you to try on solving multi-step equations today.